Now, around 2 months ago, I took the Merrell Agility Peak out for its first run and was really surprised with how well it performed. It also reminded me of one of my favourite trail running shoes of all time, the brilliant Hoka Speedgoat 3s. Fond memories running lots of miles in this shoe, that's for sure. Now, since then, I've put a lot of miles into the Agility Peak 5, and I've also had a lot of you guys asking for an update on how they're performing, especially when you saw me using them quite a lot when we were out in the mountains of Chamonix. So let's get stuck into the video and find out how the new Merrell trail shoe is performing. Welcome back, folks, and thanks for joining us for another video. I'm Lloyd Purvis and this is Run4Adventure. Hope you are all fit and well out there in YouTube world. So this time of year there seems to be lots of new running shoes hitting the shelves. So it seems like ages since we filmed a full in-depth review at the channel. However, I think the Merrell Agility Peak 5 definitely deserves the full review treatment because this trail shoe has continued to impress me. So let's give you a few facts and figures about the shoe. We're also going to break down the construction in a bit more detail, and then we're going to talk all about the highs and lows of running in the Agility Peak 5. So firstly, they retail for £140 here in the UK. Weight-wise, they tip the scales at 304 grams in a UK 9.5, and they run off a 6mm heel offset. So you get a stack height of 31mm on the heel and 25mm under your forefoot. I went for this very Speedgoat-esque colourway, which I really like, but the Agility Peak 5 is available in lots of different colours, including this very bold all-white colour option. Finally, when it comes down to size, I would say they are true to size, but they are pretty narrow in the toe box. Starting at the top with the upper, when it comes to the construction, we've got this nice breathable engineered mesh used in the upper with lots of sort of TPU overlays for extra durability. Something I haven't seen before is this SBR mesh that Merrell have used around the ankle collar and in the gusseted tongue. That's been developed for good levels of breathability, low water absorption, but it's also got high stretch properties to give you an improved fit, and I think this mesh has worked really well. We've got a pretty standard lacing system there, but Merrell have worked in a little elasticated lace garage so you can tuck those laces away to stop them getting snagged on the trails. And the laces, the mesh lining inside that upper and the mesh footbed are actually made from 100% recycled materials. We've got a handy little D-ring and a Velcro attachment for gaiters if you choose to use them. And then finishing off, when it comes to that upper construction, we've got a nice substantial toe bumper for a bit of extra protection when you're out on the trails. Moving down, and we get a full Float Pro foam midsole for lightweight cushioning and stability. More recycled properties in the form of an EVA foam footbed, and I'm glad to say we've also got a rock plate worked in there to give you good levels of underfoot protection when you're running on more sort of technical rocky trails. Merrell have also used their Flex Connect system, which utilises dual directional flex grooves in that midsole to give you an enhanced ground feel and connection. And then we've got the all-important outsole, and personally for me, this is another standout feature of this shoe because we've got this brilliantly sticky Vibram Mega Grip rubber, but that's been paired up with a nice chunky aggressive 5mm lug. So this outsole really does offer you the best of both worlds. Great rubber that's going to give you awesome grip when you're running on rocky or wet rocky trails, and then that nice deep lug depth that's going to give you awesome levels of traction when you're running in muddy conditions. So there you have it, guys, a quick breakdown, a few stats and a bit of information about the construction, but let's get stuck into how these have performed out on the trails. First of all, I mentioned it in the short intro there that this shoe really does remind me of the fantastic Speedgoat 3. Now, is it just me, or does the Merrell Agility Peak 5 look pretty much identical to that Hoka shoe? So even the colorway upper design, the fit and the width of that shoe, and even the stack height and the rocker geometry do look very similar to the Speedgoat 3. Now, this could just be coincidence that the two shoes are very similar, or did Merrell do their homework when it comes to that very popular Hoka trail shoe? I am happy to report that they don't just look like the brilliant Speedgoat 3, the shoes have performed very similar as well. So a really comfortable foot hugging upper on my foot shape, good hold in the heel, good lockdown around my midfoot from the gusseted tongue, no rubbing, no irritation, in fact, no issues with the upper at all. Merrell have worked in lots of perforations down the midfoot, around that toe box to give your feet a bit of extra breathability, and I definitely tested that out thoroughly in the mountains of Chamonix. There was a couple of long efforts I did in the shoes where it was 30 plus and I had no overheating issues and my feet stayed nice and cool. It's a very similar story when we moved down to that Float Pro midsole. Just the right level of cushioning for me. I would say that the Merrell midsole is a little bit firmer than the cushioning you got in the Speedgoat 3, but I think that's a good thing because it makes the shoe feel nice and planted and stable underfoot. Still feels comfortable on any terrain, over any distance, even if you have to soak up long sections of tarmac, no problem in the Agility Peak 5. It feels nice and responsive, nice and nimble when you're running in technical terrain. And I've done quick 10Ks in it, but I've also done long 4 or 5 hour efforts in the mountains. And I don't really have any negative feedback when it comes to midsole performance. And finally, flipping them over. And if you've ever run in a trail shoe with Vibram Mega Grip rubber on the outsole, then you know I don't really need to mention how it's performed because it has been brilliant, giving me great levels of grip when it comes to rocky or wet rocky trails. But because we've got that super chunky 5mm lug pattern as well, it really does make the Agility Peak 5's outsole super versatile, and I personally think it's one of the best outsoles I've had on a trail running shoe. By now, you can probably tell I've really enjoyed my time running in these, but we've reached that period in the video where we need to get some scores on the Run4Adventure board, and we always start with price first. Now, with the world going a little bit crazy when it comes to the amount of money we have to pay for our running shoes these days, I think with a RRP of £140, that's pretty good value when you consider how well these shoes have performed. So the Agility Peak 5 is going to score a strong 8 out of 10 when it comes to price. Next up is comfort and performance, and I can't really fault them on either of them. They felt great straight out of the box on that first run. I've done long, short, slow, fast stuff on the trails of Cornwall and in the high mountains of Chamonix, and they took it all in their stride. So as you can imagine, we're going to see another high score, and just for a second I did think about a 10 out of 10, but I think there's always room for improvement in any running shoe, but they did come close. So I'm going to give the Agility Peak 5s a top performing 9 out of 10 for comfort and performance. And last but definitely not least, we need to cover the all-important topic of durability. Now, this is a really hard thing to score a shoe for after sort of 60 or 70 miles, but they do look like they're holding up really well. So we got some nice substantial overlays around that toe box, so the flex point on the upper looks super solid. That midsole foam still feels nice and cushioned, so it hasn't flattened off. There's a little bit of wear on the outside of that midsole where the colour's rubbing off. That's just from running on those technical rocky trails in Chamonix. And I've got hardly any wear on the lugs at all. So, like I said, looks like a well-constructed shoe that's going to hold up well to that mileage. So I'm going to give it another well put together 9 out of 10 for durability. So tallying all those scores up here at Run4Adventure, the Agility Peak 5 from Merrell is going to get a very impressive 26 out of 30. And I actually think that's one of the highest scores of the year so far. So that is all the scoring done here, but if you followed the channel and our full in-depth reviews, then you'll know that we also like to talk about the very subjective topic of looks. Now, I am a big fan of how this shoe looks. I think a lot of that is because it does remind me of that Speedgoat 3 that I keep harping on about, but I did really love running in that shoe. But I also really like some of the other colorways, and I think Merrell have hit it out of the park when it comes to the design of the Agility Peak 5. So it's going to get a big thumbs up from me when it comes down to looks. As far as other trail shoes that are going to give you a similar fit, feel and performance when you're out on the trails, obviously the latest version of the Speedgoat, the 5, isn't a million miles away. However, the midsole cushioning on the Speedgoat is a bit softer, and I found that the Merrell upper sort of hugged my foot shape a little bit better. You've also got Nike's Wild Horse 8, again another shoe that's great at running a big mix of different terrains. However, the Nike shoe is heavier and you don't get that brilliant Vibram rubber on the outsole. And then lastly, one of my favourite trail shoes of all time, the Exodus Ultra 2 from Saucony. Again, a very similar performing shoe that can handle any distance, any terrain, no problems. Okay, so let's wrap this video up with a quick conclusion. And I'd say if you're in the market for a new trail shoe and you want something that's going to handle anything that you throw at it, whether it's different terrain, different distances, or all types of weather conditions, whether you're running, quick 10Ks on technical trails or longer efforts on tow paths or gravel fire roads, I would definitely recommend checking out the Agility Peak 5 from Merrell. Now, I personally think it works best for a moderate to narrow foot width, so if you have got a lot of volume or a lot of width to your foot shape, then maybe this won't be the best fitting trail shoe for you, but I have been super impressed with how well this shoe's run, and I can definitely see this making it into our top running shoes of 2023 video at the end of the year. But I just wonder, what position do you think it's going to take? So that is another full in-depth review crushed here at Run4Adventure. Really hope you enjoyed it. Really hope you found it helpful. Don't forget, if you have, guys, to like, comment, share and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Only takes a second to do by clicking on that little red box down there in the corner, and it is completely free, but it's a massive help to the channel. And while you're there, don't forget to hit that bell icon as well, because then you'll be notified when we upload any new exciting running content. But until next time, folks, thanks for watching, thanks for supporting, it's greatly appreciated. We'll be back on the channel very soon, and as always, stay safe and keep on running. We've also got Merrell's Flex Connect system, which utilises dual... Yeah, hi Merrell, yeah, sorry to disturb you. Is it dual directional or is it multi-directional flex grooves in the midsole? Dual directional, yeah, I thought so, that's great. Yeah, thanks for your help. Yeah, I won't disturb you again. Thanks, bye.